Alright guys, it's DIY time now on Street Fords, and we're going to do a brake upgrade on this car. Discs, front and rear, as well as pads. It's a simple process and we're going to walk you through it. First step is going to be to get the car up in the air, wheels off, so we can have a look at the old hardware. Wheels are now off the car. We've had a chance to have a look at the brake hardware that's on there. The discs are serviceable, however the pads, they're gone, they're out of here. So we've caught the car just at the right time. Front first port of call is the calipers. I've got 2 bolts to take off and they should slide right off. Just checking out these pads up the front, they are really gone. So the conversion we're doing now is happening at the right time. The caliper's off, so now it's time to take off the disc. With the disc and caliper now off, I can give the stub axle a quick wipe over to get rid of all the old grease, and while I'm here, I can push the brake caliper back with this handy tool. One thing to remember when you're pushing back brake calipers, of course, is the fluid from the caliper goes back into the main reservoir. Brake fluid can be like paint stripper, so you want to be extra careful. Keep an eye up top at the same time. Time for the rears. Unlike the fronts, the rears are actually still serviceable, but it's a good idea to change the pads if you're changing the discs as well. At the rear, it's a little bit different to the front. We've got a carrier for the caliper at the back here, so that's got to come off. Then we've got ourselves a Phillips head screw here, which will take the disc off. Pretty simple, just work your way through it. We need the old Irish screwdriver, the hammer. Give it a bit of a love tap, loosen it up before we pull it off. Now these ones also have the handbrake inside, so it's going to require a little bit of a tap. Should come pretty free. Now I've just showed you the strip down process front and rear. For the other side, it's exactly the same. Here on the bench, we have all the goodies we're going to put back into Roy's Ford. Have a look at this. We've got the rotors over here now, they're slotted, and we've also got the upgraded Bendix premium brake pads as well. Now these babies combined are going to keep a lot of heat for the brake pedal. If Roy's doing any towing, spirited driving, he's going to be in safe hands. We're also going to fit some new bearings as well as the old grease seal to keep it all nice and clean. Alright, as we're fitting new rotors to the car, there's one very important thing you've got to do before you put them on the vehicle. That's take the protective film that's off these surfaces. The reason they put that on during storage is to prevent it from rusting. You need to get it off because if it comes in contact with fresh brake pads, it will contaminate them. What I'm doing now is just putting the rear disc back on. I've located it back onto the hub, and the grub screw which locates it needs to go in next. Next up, we need to put the brake caliper cradle back on. As you can see, the installation process is a pretty simple affair. You're basically just reversing what you did when you dismantled the whole lot. Now when you pull the brake pads out of the box, they're not quite ready for use because you've got to put them through a bedding in process. A way to bring that forward is actually give them a quick scuff up before you put them in the car. Easiest way to do that is find a flat piece of concrete, put them down, give them a quick little couple of swirls, and you'll see the metallic particles start to come up. When the metallic particles start to appear like they do on these Bendix pads, they're ready for action. What I'm going to do is going to pop the brake pads in now. Before I put the brake pads in, I'm just going to add a little bit of anti-squeal to the back of them. That way, if they do move around, it's not too noisy. Now up the front of the Falcon, the installation process is going to be a little bit different to the rear because we've got to fit bearings back into the actual disc before we put it on. So we need to do all that on the bench beforehand. All right, now we've got the rotor cleaned up. We're about to start packing the bearings, but one little golden rule when you pack bearings, make sure your hands are clean. New rotor's ready to go on. All we have to do is grease up the bearing and put them in. The bearing comes in 2 parts, the tapered bearing itself and the cone. Now the cone, you can ditch it away, because if you're replacing it with a rotor, it's already got a cone inserted in. That's good enough for us. Grab yourself a wad of grease, put it in the palm of your hand right there, then you grab your bearing and you're going to basically do a digging movement all the way around the bearing. The grease will actually move up through the bearing and come through the top. Once it's there, you know it's packed. Grab yourself another big helping of grease, put it inside the back of the disc and then slot the bearing home. Final part of the picture at the back of the disc for the front of the car is of course this grease seal. Goes on the back, give it a little bit of a tap in. The front bearing is exactly the same as the rear bearing on the disc. Alright guys, now it comes time to pre-tensioning the bearings on the front of the car. Now some people think this is a little bit of voodoo, but it's not. It's nice and easy. Here it goes. You put your spanner on there like that, and basically you do the nut all the way up until it comes up, as you can sort of see, just nipped up tight. That seats the bearing into the cones and indeed the hub and the disc, the new disc together. Now what you want to do is after that, you back it off so it goes loose again, and just nip it up. You can feel it just starting to come nice and tight there. Nothing too hard, as you can see how much pressure I've got on this, hardly any at all. Okay, that's now done. We can put the safety cap over the top and we can run the brand new split pin through. Now the split pin, very important, make sure they're brand new every time you replace them. Alright, there we go, we're all sorted out, everything's back on. All we need to do is throw the wheels back on, bring the pedal pressure up and get it out and bed it in. Alright, brakes are now fitted, car's back out on the ground. In the background, Roy's just adjusting that front reservoir, making sure the fluid level is correct, making sure the cap's back on tight. Last corner call is to bring the brake pedal pressure up. Do so with very small pumps until you feel the pressure come up. You're ready to test drive after that.